Hello everyone, I'm about Sonic and Telltale's here. Be listening to everything Telltale Games, Transformers, and more. For today's review, we are going to be reviewing Transformers Robots in the Skies Combiner Force Episode 3 Defrosted. Now, currently, I think this is the best episode of Season 3, and although I don't have much to go on considering I've only seen this and the two-part season premiere, but definitely this episode is really great. If not, one of the best Grimlock-centered episodes, I think, of the entire show. I thought at first this was going to be a Drift and Grimlock-centered episode. I mean, Drift does play sort of a big part in this episode, but more so this episode is a Grimlock episode. And I think, to me, the worst episode, Grimlock-based episode was probably Brain Power back in Season 2. That's sort of tied with Pretzel Logic and the Starscream episodes. But to me, this episode, Defrosted, is probably the best Grimlock-centered episode that we've seen yet in the show. So we're going to go ahead and go over everything, what this episode did right and what it did wrong. So basically the whole point of this episode, it's about Bumblebee and everyone else going after this Decepticon named Crustacean. Now what's interesting about this is that I find this is a really cool tidbit that they add, and apparently Crustacean is one of Windblade's prisoners that she captured by herself before she ran into Bumblebee and everyone. I remember back when Windblade was first introduced in Season 1, on Episode 23, The Buzz on Windblade, she tells Sideswipe and Bumblebee that she's been capturing Decepticons on Earth for quite a while before running into Bumblebee and everyone. So these, because this makes sense, is because all the Alchemorphs prisoners were dealt with at the end of Season 2 in Decepticon Island Part 2. So it's nice to see that this is how Season 3 is going to be gone, that apparently all of Windblade's prisoners are breaking out and Bumblebee never has to free them. I think that's a cool idea. So basically the way Grimlock comes into this is that he watches Jetstorm is Drift is teaching Jetstorm and Slipstream, and to help assist them, Drift asks Grimlock to fight Jetstorm, in which Jetstorm manages to wreck Grimlock, and basically Grimlock wants to learn how he can fight like Jetstorm and Slipstream. And we get this funny thing about Grimlock always mispronouncing Drift's pupil instead of calling him his poodle, which I think is really funny. We get Grimlock is definitely the star of this episode. It's probably one of his best episodes too. He gets some really surprising things that we go on to later in this episode that it definitely beats the stereotypes of like what Grimlock usually does throughout all his Grimlock-centered episodes. So I'm really happy to see them break away from that stereotype. So we're gonna go ahead and get into that later. After that, the team arrives at the Arctic to track Crustacean, who is currently looking for his Shanix, which is basically like the currency of Cybertron, and basically so they end up all getting to their Arctic camo, and this is the first time we've actually seen Bumblebee and Strongarm in their Arctic camos. And I gotta say, not so much Strongarm, but I really dig Bumblebee in his Arctic camo. Just like that's definitely a toy waiting to happen, if it hasn't already happened. This, like I said back in my review of Overloaded Part 1, when we saw Arctic camo, Windblade, Sideswipe, and Drift, and I said how much I loved their Arctic camos. I really like the Arctic camos in this. I hope we get to see it kind of disappoints me that Grimlock doesn't get any camos like we didn't have him with his desert camo or with Arctic camo. I hope Grimlock eventually gets some sort of paint job redesign that I can like too. So eventually the whole group ends up finding Crustacean. They end up fighting him, yada yada. The whole team beats him. That gets kind of repetitive. Like that's like one of the slight cons of this episode. But really this episode shines where Grimlock fights Crustacean. So when Grimlock first fights Crustacean, he tries to take Drift's attract and elude style that he taught Jetstorm and Slipstream. He screws it up the first time, but eventually this leads into this one particular point in which the group gets trapped under all this rubble that Crustacean knocks down when they're inside a cave. And so Grimlock decides that he's going to try and knock down a giant stalagmite so that it will crush all the rocks that are covering them, and everyone else thinks that it's just going to cause more and bury them even more, but I'm surprised, and including mine. I thought Grimlock was going to screw this up and it would be basically Grimlock going to come down, but no, he actually saves the group, and I'm happy that they decided to show that Grimlock actually is improving and learning on his own. This is what a thing that happened, what Hasbro did wrong in Metal Meltdown in Season 2, as well as Pretzel Logic, and that like having him constantly fail until he gets it right the last time. I didn't think that worked, so to have him get it right halfway through the episode instead of at the very end is a very good idea on Hasbro's part. This even leads into the final battle with Crustacean, which when Sideswipe and Strongarm leave to go save a bunch of scientists from being crushed by a giant glacier, Bumblebee, Drift, and accidentally Grimlock, who falls off a glacier, who was supposed to help Sideswipe and Strongarm, they end up battling Crustacean underwater, and we get another thing. Drift and Bumblebee are unable to deal with him, so Grimlock actually takes care of Crustacean very well, and thanks to Drift's teaching is able to do it, and we get I feel like it's like a nice bonding episode between Drift and Grimlock. Something we haven't really seen a lot of Drift in Robots in the Sky. I mean, we saw a couple episodes back in Season 1, not at all in Season 2, but I'm glad to see we're getting more Drift-focused episodes. Well, not necessarily Drift-focused, I mean more interactions with Drift, more than just being like another character, like another Autobot that can help fight Decepticons. I'm glad for that. The next pro of this episode comes in the form of the side story of this episode. Basically, the whole side story of this episode is that basically Fix-It gets addicted to one of Russell's new video games, and he's constantly playing it, like, and basically inconveniencing everyone else in the episode. It's because you can clearly see here he's playing like some rip-off of Super Mario World, because the sound effects are ripped straight from Super Mario World. You hear like the Yoshi, the tail whip, the cape whip, and everything. I thought it was pretty funny. The best part of it is in the very end when like they're all done with the Autobots are all done with Crustacean and they're ready to head back, but Fix-It's too busy playing this game to know, so Russell just ground bridges him in, and everyone just drives back in, and then Grimlock accidentally runs into Fix-It and makes him drop his like tablet he's playing on, breaks, and he just freaks out over it, which I think is great. There was also this other moment when Fix-It tries to hack the game, and then Russell calls him out on hacking, which I thought was hilarious. I really hope like one day they do like a gaming based episode of like Transformers, in which like maybe they could go get digitized or something, go into like not even having a video game, but something like digital. I really hope that I don't know if they ever did that in any other Transformers shows, like or anime or that. It did happen in Prime though. It hasn't happened yet in Robots in the Sky, so I really hope they do that one day eventually. And now comes the final pro of this episode, which comes at literally the last minute of the episode, in which we get another sneak peek at what Soundwave's doing. It is confirmed now that it is in fact Soundwave, as the credits indicate, and just to know, Frank Welker is once again voicing Soundwave, just like he did in Transformers Prime and even the original Transformers G1 cartoon. He sounds a lot more like a Transformers G1 cartoon than he did in Transformers Prime, where it was sort of more like Megatron's voice, but now it sounds a lot like his G1 Soundwave voice. So basically, a portal to Shadows opens, and out of it comes this red bot who looks super angry, and I assume he's probably the RID version of Frenzy, and he tells Soundwave tells who I assume is Frenzy to get all the Decepticon hunters. So why does Soundwave want Decepticon hunters? Is he trying to get like the ultimate armor that Steeljaw had back in Season 2, the Season 2 finale? Who knows? I really gotta appreciate Frenzy's design, because he looks like this angry little Minicon, but I can't take him seriously because his feet are wheels. Now, if you ever saw the Transformers live-action movies, Sideswipe in the Transformers live movies was just like that. He had his hands were like just hand blades, and he didn't have any feet. His feet were like wheels, so he was basically just skating around the entire place. So that was great. So instead of like, unlike Sideswipe who had more like rollerblade wheels, Frenzy is more like actual car wheels. So he's just, well, like he looks kind of like takes it on the form of a Segway, but they're clearly legs, and I think that's really funny. I can't wait to see more of them, who I assume is Frenzy. Now, the only real con I could think of this episode, because this was actually a really good episode, the only con I could think of was how like poorly low, I guess, how underdeveloped Crustacean was. He wasn't really that, I mean, like, we saw, like, he seemed to me like a ripoff of, I guess, Springload, and that, like, he's obsessed with treasure and all that. No, I guess not, Springload, he's sort of a ripoff of Springload, but not as crazy as Springload. He's just, like, greedy like Springload. And focus too much on Autobots. I wish it gave us more time with but of course, since it's like sort of a Decepticon of the Week based concept, they don't have enough time. I respect that, but I just think they could have gone a little bit more. And so that was my review of Transformers Robots in the Sky's Combiner Force Episode 3 Defrosted. If I had to rate this episode, I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. This was nearly a perfect episode. It is the best Grimlock-centered episode of the entire show. Drift actually got a lot more prominence. We saw him interact with Grimlock, which was really nice. And the Fix-It's mini video game story was really funny. Only con being Crustaceans under development. So that's it for this episode. I'll be back soon with episode 4 Blurred. If you like this review, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later.